Are you wondering what it's like to be a bid coordinator? Well, our guest on today's episode of Thriving in Construction, the podcast, is Lunacon's construction group bid coordinator, Ms. Vanessa Mata. She is responsible for document creation, bid planning using the latest technology tools, sourcing of partners, compliance with diversity goals, and control of documentation. But there is more than just paperwork. Please let us welcome Ms. Vanessa Mata to Thriving in Construction, the podcast. Hi, Vanessa. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very, very good. I'm excited to have you here. So welcome to Thriving in Construction, the podcast. Thank you for being here.
I'm happy to be here. I'm so excited to have this opportunity to participate in this podcast.
Thank you, Vanessa. So, Vanessa, kindly introduce yourself to the listeners and let them know, what your journey before construction and a little bit about yourself.
So I spent the majority of my life here in Miami, Florida. I went to school at Florida State University. I got my dual degree, and I'm currently the bid coordinator at Lunacon Construction. And this would be, I believe, my third year. So I have 3 years of experience in construction.
Nice. Vanessa, 3 years in construction. So as a bid coordinator, people might be wondering, what is a bid coordinator? What's that role?
So that's a really good question because there's so many things that the bid coordinator does. The majority of it is you are interacting with a lot of people within the company and without the company. You need to be able to read the blueprints for construction and have social skills. At the end of the day, you're going to be talking to maybe over 200 people a day. You need to have the skills to be able to negotiate and have a good knowledge of construction from pre-construction to the final steps of closing a project. So a part of it is you are in the marketing department, assisting them searching for new projects. So basically, I would just say, in all, you are the glue between the departments in construction.
The marketing and the estimator. So you're coordinating everything in the process between locating a project to actually being able to deliver a price. Is that more or less what you're saying? So tell me, you said something about interaction with people. What's interesting about that for you?
So you get to interact with subcontractors and you get to learn a little bit about their trade, whether it's concrete or roofing, in order to help them with their questions if they have on the project, and help them in any assistance needs if they want to participate with us in building future projects. Another thing is you are also interacting with our clients. And presenting the company and just showing them what are our capabilities and what is our past performances, and just let them know that what this company is as a whole.
So tell me, what was the most challenging? So your experience before the company was not in construction. You were coming out of school practically, right?
Yes.
And as I recall, you had no idea you were going to work in construction. Your vision was different. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So my background is going to be, let me talk about the degree. So I graduated with criminology and international affairs, and I just graduated from college when I found this position. So I had no background on, engineering or construction. The only background that I had was my parents. Both of them are engineers. They graduated at University of Miami. And they did raise me to have very strong math skills. I was the president of Nu Alpha Theta in high school. I had A's in all my math classes, so I think that's why I'm doing so well in this position. So that was pretty much the only background I had in construction. But, once I started working here, I had such a great support team. I was able to learn so quickly and just develop the skills that I needed to, work in this industry.
Awesome. And do you like it now?
Yes, I do. I love it. And it really, my perception of this, working in engineering is completely, what I had before is completely different than what I have now. It's the vision of engineering that I had in my mind was not realistic to what it is in real life.
That's interesting. That's interesting that you're saying that, because I know that happens to a lot of people. I think people think that I have people that come to me and they say, "What do you do?" And I say, I'm in construction. Sometimes if I'm playing tennis, I don't like to give that many details, as to what I do. So I'm in construction, and people are like, "What? Construction? And do you hold the blocks with your hands and you actually lay the blocks?" They think the only thing to do in construction is just to be in the field, putting in, digging ditches and putting rebar up. But I tell people, look at my hands. They don't look like I am. That's what. But there's so many roles in construction. The industry is so diverse, and one of the things we want is to bring more people into construction, and women also, because the perception is different. So, in your experience, how have you been able to add value to this industry in the estimating department?
Okay, so that's a really good question. One way I've been able to add value to this industry is I've been able to put in different perspectives and different strategies in pursuing the same objective that we've been doing, and seeing that it comes out in a successful way. Yeah, and it's a successful outcome like that just really encourages me to keep on participating and keep on putting in my input, my opinions.
Now, you've said that in your role, you have been able to interact with people. So there's your social skills that are being developed even more. You've been able to learn about reading drawings. You probably didn't think you could do that, right?
Yeah, and it was a lot easier than I thought. When you first look at the plans as a whole, there's so much going on, but for each project, it's the same thing. It's the same documents. And it's once I was able to start reading plans, I felt so proud of myself. And then to be able to just talk to our subcontractors and help them read the plans, I just felt so great.
Accomplished,
yes.
And probably your parents proud of you, right?
Yes.
Did you tell them, "Hey, I got to read this drawing and that drawing"?
Yeah. Sometimes they had some construction for houses, and I was trying to tell them that I'm like, this plan isn't correct because that's, the vent has to go there if this is here. And they're like, "Wow, Vanessa, you know so much." And I was like,
So, Vanessa, there's no doubt construction is a male-dominated industry. It's just been historically that way. Maybe we haven't done such a good job at letting people know there's more to construction than what we think or imagine. In your experience, what can we do to motivate more women to come into the industry, or even people that think it's just you have to be on the sun? This is not for me. They have no pride on maybe being a skilled labor. What do you think, even though I believe this is one of the ways to enter in the industry is as a skilled labor? Emilio, my husband and my partner also, he started in the industry as a laborer. And this industry is good for everyone that wants to progress and just build, right? So tell me, what can we do to market other people, market this industry so that we make it more attractive?
In my opinion, I think the best way to attract women to this industry, because there's not that many, is transparency. I think it's only human nature to be intimidated in something that you're not aware of or have an understanding of. And so this is why I think this podcast is so great. It just opens up transparency of how the industry actually works. Yes, you do not need to have muscles and a hammer to, get into construction. There are office positions and there are tools.
Tools? You mean like softwares and?
Yes. When it comes to softwares, there's even equipment tools in the construction. If you do want to be a laborer, it's completely different now. And once you understand what this industry does, and people are more likely to enter, it's less intimidating. So I think that would be, in my opinion, that would be more women into this industry.
And so the industry, as we know, Vanessa, there's so many pieces to the puzzle. And for us to have what the client would say success on a project, finishing on time and on budget, for that to happen, for that outcome to happen, so much has to happen at the same time. So many pieces have to be put in the right place and at the right time. There's like no one person that is going to make a project successful. It's a team effort. And it's a team effort from the beginning to the end. So tell me, when you have been working, what's your experience what's the team effort? Who I think we've heard all the parts of our body are important. You don't cut one finger and you say the finger is a very, very little, it doesn't show, it's not important. What's your feel about this?
Yes, you really are reliant on your teammates on just completing whatever project. Even if you want to do everything on your own, it's impossible. There's way too much work to do. You do need to delegate and pass over some work to other people. So you do need to let people help you. And I've been lucky to have such great team members because I don't have to, follow up, say, hey, did you do this? It's done. Once you say it once, it's done. And you don't have to, worry on other things. The best way to view it is, your team, they're part of a body. You need a leg, you need an arm, you need a head. And even if you wanted to, you cannot do all parts. It's literally impossible. You could be like 2 arms, maybe an arm and a leg, but you are reliant on your teammates. So that's why I think it's really important on who is, invited into the group and they have a passion for it and they have the motivation for it.
Tell me about that. Let's talk about culture. You've been working for a while, and like in our company, we've been going through a culture change, which takes time. I probably would say at least 3 years. Anyone that wants to enter into a culture change, at least 3 years is going to take, because especially in our industry, you have ongoing projects, and you really want to give everyone an opportunity to change. But change is not easy. No. Right? And we humans don't like to change. But culture is key for the success of a company, right? Yeah. So talk about, in your experience, you said culture of support, but talk about, the energy that you bring as an individual into a team. When you bring that energy, how important is that for the success of the team and the company?
I think it's so important, just the positivity. You don't want to have someone that you have to rely on that is just in constant negative state. You want someone to realize something happened and then come up with a solution immediately, because another part of construction is we are on a time limit. It's not very, you're lounging around. You are working in a fast-paced system. So problem solvers are so important in this industry. My favorite quote is, when you are running away from a problem, you're actually running away from the solution. You need to head on to the problem, fix it, and you'll be closer to the solution. So that's how I view when any obstacles occur in the office. It's just a chance for you to grow. You don't want to, for example, say an issue happens and we just spend the whole day just talking about the issue. Talking about the issue doesn't solve any issues. You need to fix it, move on, and then that will keep you from creating the same error.
And actually not wasting time and focusing on the solution.
Yeah.
So we have some posters around our office that talk about one of the viruses of a productive environment is the negativity, like you said, and procrastination, and talking about a problem, like you said, does not help us. You rather much spend the time, 95% of your time, on the solution.
And part of construction is just overcoming obstacles. On a daily, you're overcoming obstacles. It's almost an avoidance. The only thing you could do is prepare, and instead of being reactive, you need to be proactive.
So when you say overcoming obstacles, to me, construction is so much part of the day-to-day life. In my experience, I've been in the industry for over 30 years, and I used to say construction is unforgiving. It's so harsh. There's no mercy here. And today I tell you that for me, it's been a spiritual transformation. Just because I don't give up, so I really haven't run away from a challenge. That's not the way I am, but it's been a spiritual transformation. So, I have transformed as a person in this process for different reasons. And so to you, I know you're very spiritual. What would be, when you see these obstacles and you've seen the challenges and, and your mind tells you, let's run away from this, or I'm fearful, I don't know what's going to happen. Does construction has had any impact in your spiritual journey or in your growth journey as an individual?
I would say so. I really do take anything that happens in my life and I evaluate it and just think about it, because I have been, before I even started working when I was in school, I was very, I would push off things that needed to be done just because I was scared of what would be the outcome, or, I would be pushing off that it's going to be so hard to do. I'm just going to push it off for later. And once I've entered in the workforce, I don't even know that person anymore. It's give me the obstacle right now. I want to get it out of my way and move forward.
I love that.
Yeah, the second someone tells me something, I just want to get it done that second. And honestly, I don't have anxiety anymore that I did in high school. I don't have that much stress that I did in high school. Well, not high school, I'm sorry, college. I wish it ended in high school. And another thing is, you cannot let, it's not exterior. I'm thinking about construction. It's not exterior, it's external. Something about exterior painting and interior painting. External forces affect your emotions. The only thing that needs to affect your emotions is yourself, any internal things. So say something happens at work, in your life, or in school that you have no control over. It is okay to, feel sad about it, but you need to be able to use that as a learning lesson and move on, because if you let external forces affect you, you will be in a negative mood for forever, because you do not have control over it. So that's another thing that, working in this industry has taught me is.
What I do want to spend some time is to, let's say I'm really hoping that there's young women out there in college thinking about construction and listening to this. I would like for you to show the journey, since the bid coordinator is a way of entry into the industry. And it's a learning path that can take you to becoming the president of a company. What is your journey, or let's say a week as a bid coordinator, or take us through the steps, the main steps that you have to go through to bid a project, to provide a quote on an RFP. Take us through the journey.
So through the journey of a bid coordinator, you are first working with our marketing department, looking for future potential projects to go after. And once you've selected a project and we're going after it, now we are working with the estimating department, and we are putting in the project into our system. We're getting the documents, we're reviewing the documents, and that's when you start inviting the subcontractors. Another part about inviting the subcontractors is you do need to search for them. So when you go to maybe site visits, you want to talk to the people there, maybe even people in your location. Sometimes even when I'm at the grocery store and I see someone with a t-shirt that says they do painting, I'll talk to them and let them know, hey, are you interested in working with us? And they'll give me their card, and it'll be that easy. I'll just add them to the system. And that's a good thing. We are helping the community when we do hire these subcontractors. So that's another thing that I really enjoy about this job, is that I have the opportunity to give these guys an opportunity to work with us. So after we do that, we answer any questions anybody might have. We prepare the bid package and we submit it to the owners. When that is done, and let's say we are awarded this project, we will be passing the information to our operations department. And another thing you said is maybe for future people who are working and studying engineering right now to get into this industry, even if you're studying for marketing, you can get into this industry. If you're studying data analytics, you can get into this company. Even accounting, there's such a diversity of people that can participate. You don't have to only just study engineering if that's, something you're not passionate about.
And that's a really good point that you touched. A lot of people think that because they don't have an engineering background or a construction background, architecture, they can be in construction. And that's far from the truth. I know so many successful people that have been in this industry and they have learned through the process and made a lot of money without really having the formal education background. So I think you touched it. You said one of the most important things to be successful in this industry is that grit. That focus on, if you have a problem, an obstacle, let's focus on solving it and let's move on. So having that spirit of solving problems is so important, so important. Vanessa, you have the microphone, and I want you to convince a ton of people, a ton of women to enter the industry. Not only women, but in general, our industry is suffering for shortage of labor and manpower in general, whether it's in the field or in the administrative side. So you have the microphone, and I want you to convince people to enter our industry.
Sure thing. Well, one of my jobs is convincing people to, work with us. And so I think I could do this. Let me tell you guys, the workforce after you graduate, if I'm speaking to students right now, when you graduate, it's really important to pick, a department that has a lot of job opportunities, just to increase your chances if you want to, get a job after work. For construction is always a demand. I mean, if you live in Miami, you're driving down the highway, you're going to see construction every day. And it's also, not a one location. You can work in different states. You can work in different countries. Some degrees, like for example, my degree is criminology. I cannot do law in Korea. I would have to restudy their law. So that's such a great opportunity for if you do, math, any math STEM background. It's worldwide. You can do that anywhere. And when you graduate, you will see how valuable that skill will be. Another thing is, not only is it a skill that's really good to have in the workforce, it's a really good skill to have at home. When you have kids, you'll be able to teach them math like my parents did. And, it's just a very powerful tool to have just in your life. And let me think about one more thing.
Criminology. Tell me about criminology. So what did you learn in that 4-year career that you can apply, that you have applied here?
Well, what I'm able to apply for my degree into my job is my international affairs. International affairs taught me about, interacting with people, data analysts, maybe like different cultures, being able to speak with people here in Miami with, they have a Hispanic background, to talking to people in Virginia, So I'm able to just understand the different locations. We did geography there. For criminology, a lot of it was about just the laws of the land. I have to do NDAs, which I was taught that as well. So as a bid coordinator, I'm sending those documents out. And then anything that has to do with just the legal system in the office, whether it's contracts,
right? Because you have to read them when you're in the bid process. You have to read the general conditions of the contract. You have to read, the more you read, the more prepared we are to submit a price, right?
Yes.
So did that skill that you developed in college help you?
Yeah, it did. It definitely did help me. I did a lot of reading for that degree, and I'm doing a lot of reading now. And another thing is, in my degree, they want us to keep, paper trails. They teach us how to collect evidence and all that stuff.
Now that you've been in the industry for about almost 3 years, what do you see that you like? Tell us, where do you see yourself gravitating into? What space in the construction industry do you see yourself gravitating into?
I really see myself gravitating into the marketing department, because that's the part where really helps the company grow. And I'm really interested in just increasing our opportunities and increasing our productivity. But there is just being able to be placed in the position that I am in, and being able to see what operation does and what does pre-construction do? It really does just make me feel like I could do any of it. So I would say marketing.
I like that actually. And from what I know, we're getting ready to go to the SAME conference, SAME conference in November. And I know you've been there. Tell us a little bit about that experience, because that's kind of different from what you do. In here, you're very focused and there's a lot of, there's a deadline. But when you're in a conference and we're in the booth, what do you like about that experience?
Just the people that you get to meet and the stories you get to hear from them. You learn so much because you're in a spot where there's so much diversity of different types of workers in different locations. And the knowledge that you get just from that event is just overwhelming, and the experience is just amazing. And you really, when you go to these events, you are talking to people nonstop. And, being a big coordinator really prepared me for that. You're on your feet, you're speaking to people, and you're just collecting information. And it's just a humongous network event. And it is so fun to participate in.
Yeah. So give us some tools for networking. I mean, networking is part of life.
Yeah, networking is not only are you trying to sell the company, but you really do need to listen to what are they saying? What are their needs? What do they want? Because that will change your approach. I think it's really more important listening than speaking when you are going to events like that or speaking to people, because everyone wants a different outcome and you may be able to provide what they want. It's just, you might not know because you're not listening. So that,
very,
listening.
Very, very wise. I'm very impressed with your wisdom. Because listening, let me tell you, it's a skill, and you hit it on the head. A lot of times we go talk to the client, and for us, it's more important what we do and who we are than making the client the hero of the story. And the only way for us to do that is to know what they want, understand them, and understand their world. So that's extremely powerful what you just said. So we're getting ready to do that, and you're going to be little by little gravitating into the space of marketing. So tell us about the technology that you have been using so far, that you have been exposed to. And because people need to know, our industry little by little is growing in technology and tools to help us do our work in a more productive way.
Yeah, on a daily basis, I'm using so many different programs. It's amazing. I'm using SmartBid. I'm using, in the estimating, we use Hard Dollar, Procore, Salesforce, and you're just so fluent with all of these programs. And being able to just combine it all into one just to get the outcome that you need is just a crazy experience. So that, you kind of reminded me that even software engineers can get into this.
I mean, attorneys,
accountants, law. Oh my gosh, it's amazing how diverse it is. You can even invent a software that hasn't even been created yet for construction. If you had this experience and you know what is the demand needed. In marketing, you need to do contracts and legal things in order to achieve what we need to get.
Awesome.
I just go on these rants and I said what I need to say and I just keep on talking and I'm like, I don't want to repeat myself.
Vanessa, this is a good practice for our networking event that we have, because it's a nonstop. It's nonstop. So if your parents heard you today and they heard this, how would they feel about you?
I think they'd be really proud. I think they would be, recording the video and sending it to my family. I mean, that makes me really, feel really good just to be able to make my family proud and just be able to have this opportunity to grow.
And I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of your perseverance. And I'm proud of your organizational skills and your desire to grow and learn more, and your capacity to listen and to adapt. So I'm very proud of you, and I continue to wish you an amazing success in this industry. You make this industry flourish like an orchid.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I'm just so happy just to be here, and I'm just so honored to just get this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you for listening to Thriving in Construction, the podcast with Patricia Bonilla. If you enjoyed this episode and you would like to help support the podcast, please share it with others and leave a rating or review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. If you have any suggestions or any related topics you would like us to tackle in our future episodes, feel free to reach Patricia by sending her a message through the website anchor.fm/thrivinginconstruction or find her on LinkedIn. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week here in Thriving in Construction, the podcast.